So have you ever done something that you've wanted to do for so long and it feels so good? Hi friends, Auntie Cuckoo here. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. This is not my regular content, but it may become my regular content. So today I wanted to share a few things that have been going on in my heart, on my mind, and I do love all things home. And so I figured the best way to sort of share these things with you guys would be just to be very real. So we're gonna clean the kitchen. It's a mess, and then we're gonna bake some cookies because the crowd in the house has been asking for those for a while. And I want to just invite you into more of who I am and be very raw and real, transparent with you about things that we all know, and ask you guys for help in making a decision. So this is the state of the kitchen. I've been to the store. There's a few things I need to put away. It's nighttime. That's when I tend to do the majority of my tasking and cleaning. I have a lot to put away, sort through, organize. And so I'm not going to really be addressing everything, but I cleaned out the fridge. We're going to clean the stove. I'm going to do some dishes, put some stuff away, and then we're going to make some cookies. And FYI, this is what I look like right now. I just showered, and so my hair's a little damp, and you guys know I just got a bad haircut, so I'm trying to figure out what to do with it, but just got out of the shower, and I'm going to be just talking to you guys about what's been on my heart and what's been on my mind. So for some time, if you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I've talked about starting other channels. I actually have one that I initially thought I would have time to post vlogs on. I think that's where I'll go live in the future. I do like to just chat with you guys when I have a minute, and so I think that that's the future of that channel. But that's not really what I wanted to talk to you about. So last year, I don't know if you guys remember, I actually had to have surgery. I had my Achilles tendon repaired, and I really started thinking about doing something that was more spiritual, more encouraging. I just feel like the world is a bit upside down and crazy right now, and I don't know that that's going to change anytime soon. And so it's been really heavy on my heart to the point where I've created channels. I've named so many channels. I have gotten email locations, addresses for them. I've made logos, but I've just been kind of lost. I'm one of those people that likes continuity. And so I have been sort of lost thinking of how to still be here with you guys that I just feel very loved and accepted by, and just feel like there are really a great community out here, and sharing things that I do love. I have always been a Dollar Tree shopper. I have always been super nosy and want to know what every store is putting out for each season. I've always been really frugal and wanted to get something that I can use in my home that looks beautiful and that costs very little. And so how do I morph all of that together, or do I just take it somewhere else? And so that's been heavy on my heart. And if I'm being fully honest and transparent, I have not been praying about it as much as I should have been. So fast forward to 2020 and everything changing. And, you know, at that point I had been mainly taking you guys into stores to see different seasonal decor and home decorating stuff, with some DIYs because I enjoy those. But things changed and looked different at that point for all of us, I think. And I really have to wonder if that was the beginning of a shift in my heart and in my mind. I think that was maybe a point that God had been using to help me think about things in the long term, not just in the short term. And to be honest, I've just been busy living my life, taking care of my family, taking care of the kids, and the busyness has really sort of distracted me from thinking about the eternal, the long term, the big picture. And so that was a starting point. That was a seed planted, and it's been growing. And so what's interesting is that life here in Texas has been such a blessing. It's been wonderful. We've had challenges, don't get me wrong. We have been through some really bumpy life, hard things in the last 2 years that we've been here, almost 2 years. But even in the midst of the really hard times, I've been really grateful for the change of pace. We do sort of live a little bit of ways from things, and sometimes that just helps to simplify your life. If you're going to go out and do your shopping or go out and do anything busy, you get it all done sort of that day, and you don't go out every day. And when we lived closer to everything, I just would go out and do lots of errands on different days because I was out and about with the kids, shuttling them places, and that's definitely different here. And so all that to say, I've been doing a lot of thinking and a lot of soul searching and sort of asking God for wisdom as to how I can encourage you all in the midst of this crazy world that we live in right now. And for a lot of you, you know that I'm a Christian. I don't think I've ever shied away from that, but I'm in a stage of life now where soon enough, Lord willing, the kids will be not keeping me busy on a day-to-day basis, and I want to use the time that I have wisely. And if we're all being completely honest, we have at least one thing in common in this whole world, and that is that we all have an expiration date. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. And I think that sometimes we can get lost in the busyness of life and forget about maybe using our gifts and talents for a purpose. And so I had been reading in Judges, and if you guys don't know, Judges is a book in the Bible, and it's an interesting book. It's in the Old Testament, and it basically shows a lot of civilizations that sort of rise and fall and rise and fall. It is sort of like a hamster wheel of the same thing happening over and over again to different groups of people as they turn towards God or as they turn away from God. And the one thing in the book of Judges that struck me is in chapter 7, and there is a judge that is appointed, and his name is Gideon. And he's an interesting guy. He is having conversations with God, and God is telling him that he's going to take care of them. He's got them. He needs to not worry, but he's going to provide for the Israelite people. And Gideon, to test God and to help himself trust God a little more, said, okay, God, then listen, I'm going to put this piece of fleece down, and if I wake up and the whole ground around it is dry and it is sopping wet, then I will know that you have told me that you're going to have our back and we can sort of do battle with those people down there because we know that you've got us. And so that happens, and he wrings out enough water on the piece of fleece he set out that it filled a bowl and the ground was dry. And so I'm so much like Gideon, because he said to God, okay, do not be angry with me, but now I need you to show me in reverse. So now, just so I can be sure, just so I can trust you, can you please do the opposite? And so I'm going to lay this fleece out again tonight, and I'm asking God, if what I'm hearing from you is true, would you please do the opposite and allow all the ground to be wet around this piece of fleece, but allow it to be dry? And God did. And at times I feel very much the same when COVID hit and all of a sudden the idea of going to the store just to look around just didn't make sense. And I thought to myself, whoa, what would life look like if I didn't do that here on YouTube? And so that was something that sort of resonated with me. So could I trust God with even the little thing that I call YouTube that's sort of my little hobby? And so now I'll go back to Gideon, and he's finally established in his mind after, throwing these weird tests at God, that God's going to deliver the Jewish people and that he's going to provide for them. And Gideon looks out at the multitude of people from the other tribes that surround him. And it is said there were so many people there along the valley that it was like locusts in abundance, and that their camels were without number, as many as there are grains of sand on the seashore. No problem, no big deal. You're just going to go down there and conquer all these people. And I can only imagine the fear that he faced. But it was that point that I think God wanted him to trust him more. And so that it could be said that there's no way this happened outside of the hand of God. What he did is he said, you've got 3,200 men here to fight. And I think we need to kind of lower that number, because even though the enemy outnumbers you, I want it to be apparent that it was by my hand. So God tells Gideon, I want you to go ahead and send home anyone who is afraid. And so 10,000 guys leave, and now he's got 2,200 to face this massive swarm of people down there. And God says to Gideon, there's still too many people. I want you to take everyone down to the water, and I'm going to show you who can stay and who's going to fight with you and who can go. So they go down to the water, and there are people who have knelt down to drink the water, and then there are people who have lapped it up like dogs. And so God says, all right, Gideon, I want you to send home anyone, basically in my eyes and my mind, who has manners. Anyone who knelt down to drink, send them away. And anyone who lapped up the water like dogs, they are going to stay and they're going to fight with you. And isn't that God's way to use some real characters, me included? So that leaves 300 men who are not very cultured, standing there with Gideon to face this massive feat of fighting these other two tribes that have come down from the east for this land. And all Gideon had to do was trust him and fight with these 300 guys. So he divided them up into groups of 100. So there's 3 of them. And he put trumpets into all of their hands, and he gave them empty jars with torches inside of the jars. So you've got this impossible situation that you're completely outnumbered with, and you have a trumpet, and you have a torch, and you have a jar. And what can you do with those things you're given? That's been the thing that has weighed on me for at least the last year. I'm just this mom who really likes decor and likes to shop and is kind of crafty. And those are sort of the things that I bring to the table. And I've been asking God, what do you want to do with this? I mean, I'm sure I could come up with something that used a jar and a torch and a trumpet. But in all reality, I've been asking God, what direction should I go? How can I bring a little bit of joy and peace and calm amidst the crazy and the chaos that is surrounding all of us right now? And so to wrap up the story for Gideon, the good news is they won. They went around the city or around their enemy. They smashed their jars and they yelled and they held up their torches and they blew their trumpets, and it was just enough to cause chaos in the city to where their enemies were defeated and they were given the land that God promised them. And so I think what I'm saying is I am trusting God for what He has for this channel. I'm bringing the things that I have that He's equipped me with. And when I think of Gideon's Army, I actually think of a lantern, probably because it's more decor than a torch, and their jar and their trumpet. And so I'm bringing, Lord, these are my gifts, and I love to share things with people who maybe don't get out, and who maybe are home with a new baby and they don't get to see what's in the new stores, and maybe those who have disabilities or just live away from places. And this brings a smile to their face or gives them just a minute of joy or escape. But that's just one of the things I feel like I'm holding. I still am going to take you guys shopping. I still am going to share decorating and DIYs. And I want to share more about what's going on in my heart, what's on my mind, and be a little more transparent with you guys. I did just take you guys shopping with me to Costco, and I really enjoyed filming that. And I don't know why, because normally I get really excited when I see something new in store, and that was just me grocery shopping. So I am curious, are you up for that? Do you want to be part of maybe my 300? And if not, I totally understand, and I'm still here if you ever want to come back. But I am hoping to have a new tool in my hand, so to speak. So not just DIYing and not just shopping, but I also want to do things like this where I'm being very real. I'm sharing and letting you into my everyday, part of my life and my thought process and just what's going on in my mind. And so you guys will get to see a little bit more of things like this, where we cleaned the kitchen, we made some chocolate chip cookies, and now my kitchen's clean, and I got to talk to you guys through it. And I hope that this brought you a little bit of encouragement, even if it was just to maybe go do your dishes. Maybe it was to just motivate you to pick up the kitchen. I just really want to bring something more to the table. And I'm really Gideon right now, just laying it before God and saying, please show me that this is where you want me to be and what you want me to be doing. So I have so much peace. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing from me, hearing from my heart. I was hoping that this would be a bit like good friends on the phone kind of conversation, and I would love to hear from you. So if you would, please leave me a comment down below. And until next time, friends, I'll see you very soon.